Hello, welcome to Microsoft Cloud Option webinar series. Thank you very much for joining and listening. My name is Vivek Bhatnagar. I am CTO and founder of UnifyCloud. Okay, so we are now moving into the tools and example phase of our discussion. I want to take the example of Microsoft. Microsoft took this cloud journey very early on. So they started moving to the cloud in 2013, 14, and 15. That's very early, like then other organization, because the first reason is if they are preaching cloud to everyone. So let's do it for Microsoft IT. And Microsoft IT is very complex IT. I still need to find a more complex environment anywhere. Like there are 200,000, more than 200,000 employees in Microsoft, and they do business more than 190 countries, and there's like huge amount of data flow into these compliances and other thing part of Microsoft IT framework. So when they started their journey in the cloud, they definitely start with analyzing what they have. So this is just a this diagram showing like how they have analyzed their applications and how they have applied the approach of 5 Rs. So you can see here, like, and I just want to focus on the number part of it because we are going to discuss this picture in other phases, other discussions also. But around like 30% of their application, they have actually decided to retire. So this is very important number to understand, because once you look at your digital state, you will find that a lot of applications that you have accumulated in like so many years are not getting used, or maybe used by only one or two users, or maybe even used only once a week in a whole year. So you look at those things and say that, do you really need all of these to the cloud, or can we retire these, or can we have these users use other things? So 30% of applications are gone for retirement. They have not used. Around 15% of application gone to SaaS. SaaS means like software service, where they are not responsible for infrastructure of it, just responsible for using the application. And most importantly, like Office 365. So they have like all the SharePoint servers, all the Exchange servers that Microsoft was using were actually moved to the Office 365, to SharePoint Online, to CRM Online, to the Azure DevOps and the thing Power BI. So all these things moved to a SaaS environment, and they have planned migration to move those. So 15% gone to SaaS, and then if you look at like 5% of applications are staying on premise, and there are reasons for staying on premise. They might be too sensitive application for Microsoft to put in the cloud, and they don't want to put that IP into the cloud, other things. So 5% these kind of application, and around 50% application are custom application, which they have decided to move to the cloud. And these 55% application, out of these 50% application, 35% are typically simpler applications, which we have recognized, and we have moved them to the cloud, and then we move to the next one and next one, and lastly we have moved their SAP systems and other thing. So it's just an example like how Microsoft IT has taken this journey themselves. This is a mostly public information. They have written a lot of IT showcase on Microsoft website. I encourage all of you to go and look at these things on Microsoft websites. Similarly, then we also look at like their application portfolio. So as you can see that, that how much reduction in the application portfolio, and this is just up to 2014, and after this, like this curve is further going down as they are telling me. You can see from almost like 2,490 application, they have reduced their application to 1,100. So this is called simplification application portfolio. So every year they look at their application, they think about, okay, how do we really need this application in cloud, or even if we need in cloud, how long we have to run in cloud? Is it the same function done by any other application, or is there any change in our business requirement? So it's an important aspect of things they have done. Similarly, they also applied enterprise hybrid cloud strategy, and that's why they also promoted so aggressively for their customers also. Because as I told you, there is a myth that everything going to the cloud is not is very rarely in the large enterprises. So they always have a strategy to look at hybrid cloud. So what is going to stay on premise, how it is going to operate, and how it's going to talk to the cloud systems. And if the things are moving to the public cloud like Azure, what would the investment required? What will go to the PaaS? What will go to the IaaS and other things? And as we move in this webinar, I will discuss more on these aspects, but just give you an idea that how Microsoft built the hybrid cloud strategy and successfully applying into their migration journey. And also like some glimpses of their cloud policies. And this is not overall, but this is what they have opened up and listed down in the case studies. They definitely look for like go fast type of thing. In Microsoft, the thinking is like go fast, like don't get into mm, the paralysis of analysis, try new things and see that you can manage your plan of records. Another thing, always push the boundary, look at like if you can do a transformational aspect of a business process and make Microsoft more successful. And also like whenever you take a decision has to be data driven, like if you're deciding to move to a particular architecture, where is the data, how you're monitoring it, how you're collecting these things. And also like they have their own transformation team which is simplifying things every day. So how to simplify applications, infrastructure, networking, identity, and making it easy for employees to use, making it more secure. And also definitely like the push on retiring things, like if you are not using, don't take it to the cloud. Even if you're taking the cloud, if you're not using it, can we retire it? And finally communicate, like it's kind of a over communication to stakeholders, over communication to the people working on this, and simplify learning. So these are the Microsoft example, like, and then there are other examples of like some of the principle of IT strategies. These are like just some examples and show you, for example, like look at the complete data state, don't leave anything, or the strategy of going to the cloud first, and maybe look at like maybe the public cloud first before deciding anything else, or in case you are analyzing a service and process, look for SaaS first, then PaaS and IaaS. So these are just examples. And just to give you an idea that how these examples can be used, but just some example of IT principle and strategies. I also include a slide like how do you initiate a discussion on cloud strategy? Like, typically, you go and start a project, or and then you meet a customers. So these are just a sample question, or these are open-ended questions which you can actually ask your customers to collect more information about cloud strategy. And it is always difficult, like you need to find the right people, like who can help you in doing this. For example, like what do you expect from your move to the cloud, like why you are moving to the cloud today, what's the most important aspect of things you are like to achieve, what's the objectives, do you consider hybrid cloud, which kinds of application data you are migrating first, what kind of risk you have identified. So these are just open-ended questions. If you ask these questions, you will get a lot more idea about if they have a cloud strategy. Do they have a mapping of a motivation, a business outcome, and business justification, and other thing.